Hello, everyone, and this is my review for WWE Monday Night Raw on December 14th, 2015. What can I say? You got me. You got me once. You got me for once here. Raw was actually enjoyable. And actually enjoyable from beginning to end. Not just because of matches. I'll be the one to say it here and now. Most people would say the Attitude Era was the best in the terms of wrestling. And this will go to show more based around the characters and the storylines that they built during that time frame. Also with the wackiness and craziness that they had to go along with it. But it's wrestling at that time, and in terms of in-ring product, was far worse back then than it is now. During this day and age, the wrestling inside the ring is actually really good. But the problem is that most of the guys can't tell a good story throughout the entire night or throughout their entire feuds. Tonight was the exception, and I mean this from the beginning with how Stephanie McMahon started off with Roman Reigns throughout that entire segment. Was really well done and started the story throughout the night. Now, granted, I did kind of wish they went with the firing storyline, but in the end, at least for tonight, the storyline worked so well that think about this for a moment. The bit at the beginning with Stephanie McMahon and Roman Reigns, thinking it was like, okay, you can go with the simple firing. But they decide to have Vince come out in the end. Obviously, you're thinking, okay, this is where he gets fired. But obviously, Sheamus kind of gets in the way of everything. And plays the classic, and plays it well, by the way. He plays it well here. It was not poorly done. His promo was actually pretty good this week with playing the cocky heel, saying that he was so confident he could beat Roman Reigns again that he would even put the title on the line for the night. Vince teasing the aspect that it wasn't going to happen, and then actually giving him giving Roman Reigns the match after the very typical but effective way of Roman Reigns challenging his manhood, and then even the added aspect that he had been abused a little bit beforehand by Stephanie slapping him over and over and over again, and then getting low blow by Vince came off really well in those segments leading into the main event match. And I'll get into that main event a little bit later on because I do have one gripe with it, and I will let you know what that is a little bit later. But rest of Raw, the whole bit with Vince initially coming out and interrupting what seemed to be kind of a useless, what would have been like just a throwaway match with R-Truth and Bo Dallas, because obviously they're not in any kind of storyline, so they kind of give them that exposure time out there with at least a bigger named person, even though it's Vince at that time, and him just kicking them out. You get that little bit of exposure time. Obviously, they're not in any kind of storyline, so that was probably the best way of ending that match and ending the way that they wanted to get into the next segment. Overall, that segment came off really good, and how Vince played off with everybody in there, and that just. I'm trying to find the actual proper words of saying this, but just like his mannerisms, he got it out there as an aspect that he was extremely angry throughout that entire time, berating people for giving him the wrong kind of chair, everything like that. He was being that overbearing boss again, and it came off really well. It actually worked. So outside of that, the bit with Ric Flair and his daughter with Becky Lynch in the tag match, that came off really. I thought that came off really well. It was a nice little bit of storytelling with Becky Lynch not recognizing that Ric Flair helped them get the victory and everything like that. And they can play off of that into the next week. Is like, hey, they can and probably play off into some kind of match with Becky Lynch and Charlotte somewhere down the road here. I liked how that segment came off. The match itself was okay, but the storyline element to it came off really good, at least in my mind, because it's getting over Ric Flair's daughter, which obviously they did a complete 180 from the previous month with what they were going with her. And changing her up to being like a dirtiest player in the game type of wrestler, and her father obviously helping them out, and they're going to play off of that, I think, and it came off rather good this week, at least in my mind. Kevin Owens, man, what a heel he is. I like this guy in the terms of his heel gimmick because he makes you want to hate him, and he came off so well in his backstage segment after he had interrupted the match with Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose, which was a good way of timing everything for that match and setting and continuing on with the Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens storyline. But his backstage promo was probably one of the best heel promos I've heard in a long time, and it just came off extremely well. The aspect of saying, "Oh, you think Dean Ambrose is a lunatic now? Now I'm going to," he basically goes off saying, "It's like, I'm going to drive Dean Ambrose insane to the point that he needs to be put in an institution, and I'm going to get back my Intercontinental title." Just things like that. Very, very good, promo from Kevin Owens there, setting up what he is going to attempt to do with Dean Ambrose in the future. And we'll see how they continue on with that storyline. I like this promo. I like the way they set it up with the match with him and Dolph Ziggler, with Kevin Owens interrupting it. Did a really good job here. The New Day, I like the New Day segment. I really did. But honestly, it makes the Usos and the Lucha Dragons come off as more heelish than the New Day. Even though the New Day is like, "Oh, now that we've congratulated you, we're going to rub it in your face" type of feeling. It's like, and then they get attacked. It feels more heelish on their end. It doesn't actually come off as very, what would you go for here? Since they provide themselves on sportsmanship with both of those teams, it's not sportsmanlike to attack them, even though they're rubbing it in your face a little bit afterwards. They did come out there and congratulate you, but now it's time for them to celebrate and be happy about their victory at the pay-per-view. And them actually getting, attacking the New Day afterwards actually honestly got proper heel heat, because that's all it was them celebrating in the end. So obviously that's not the storyline that they're going for, but I was more happy with the crowd reaction towards it, and I'm not sure where their actual story's going with this, but the segment itself came off really well. I liked how the New Day came off as like sincere, and then they tried to pull it back with being heelish by being cocky heel and like rubbing it in their faces afterwards. It came off really well here. I thought the segment, it didn't fully deliver in the terms of a proper storyline, but it came off as just a really good segment in the end. And I'll give it that for that moment, but they did definitely fail on the storyline element to this. Now this brings me into the main event of the night, which was Roman Reigns and Sheamus WWE heavyweight title match. They had set it up throughout the entire night, making it feel like the odds were stacked against Roman Reigns, setting it up to where if he doesn't win, he's fired, but if he wins, he's champion, everything like that. They did a really good job setting up this story, and then making it even set that he's even more like he's even more punished than what he was before going into the match. My only gripe about this match and how they told the story throughout the entire time is that they spoiled it before the match even started by saying, "Oh, and tomorrow night on SportsCenter is Roman Reigns." They tried to cover it up. I give them that. They tried to cover it up, but it's like, okay, we know Roman Reigns is going to win now. Now, for the story of the match, did they do a good job there? The answer is yes. They did a really, really good job, and you can tell they did a really good job of setting up the story because think about this. 11 months ago at the Royal Rumble, they're in the same building, probably with about the same amount of fans. And they booed Roman Reigns out of the building at the Royal Rumble. Tonight, for the WWE Heavyweight title, they were going nuts. They were cheering for Roman Reigns the entire time. They wanted him to win. Like, in the terms of that, what a turnaround in how they set up that storyline. And even the night before, you had the Boston Crown chanting, "We want Cena." They built a story for the night that worked. It was good. It got them behind Roman Reigns, setting up for the title win. And, you know, in all honesty, first thing, they haven't done that title change for the WWE World Heavyweight title or any on Raw for the longest time without it being a Money in the Bank cash-in in some way, shape, or form. You don't see it in just a straight match. And the whole aspect of the League of Nations coming out there, minus Barrett, but apparently he's injured now, so it's not an aspect that they're getting rid of him from the League of Nations. It's an aspect that he's out with an injury, so that's not so bad in that sense. I thought they were just kind of kicking him to the curb, like he was going to be nothing, but that was not the case in there. But Roman having to fight them off, getting the Superman punch on Vince McMahon in there before catching Sheamus with the spear. It was just really well done. Great teases on the aspects that Roman was going to lose here. And then the payoff with the victory at the end came off really well. The only problem with this might be where we might be going into WrestleMania with it being Roman Reigns versus Triple H for the title. And we'll see where they go with that storyline. But do we really want to see Triple H in a WWE World Heavyweight title situation going into WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble or at all in any way? And the answer, I think, is no, but we'll see how they go with this storyline. We'll see how they make it work down the road here. Overall this week, Monday Night Raw, really good show. They did it for a week. They did a good job for a week. Can they keep it going? Who knows? We'll see where they go with everything. But my optimization or like my optimistic aspects of them keeping where I found this Raw at are not very high. They're kind of low. They're kind of low in this case. We'll see how they go, though. We'll see how they continue building off the stories. They still have to at least work something with Sheamus and Roman Reigns going into a rematch of some kind. And then we'll see where they go with everything from there, how they set up the Rumble match this year and everything. We'll see just how everything works and where they're going to go into WrestleMania season. So that is my review this week for Monday Night Raw. And I thank you guys for watching.